Homelessness Inc. You can go to their website. They have the whole PDF file about the HUD study and stuff. It says that according to HUD, which is a government office, it says it would cost $20 billion to end homelessness, which is less than half that is spent on weight loss and self-help. Now, that is $1.7 billion less than what they have given to Israel. How can that be America first when you spend more on a foreign entity than the people in America? $20 billion to eradicate homelessness. And then another study said that if they added if it was $40+ billion, it would not only eradicate homelessness, but it would eradicate poverty across the board across America. And yet you have the United States under all of the presidents, from Obama to Biden to Trump or whatever, have allocated more money to funding the Ukrainian government to the tunes of hundreds of billions of dollars, when only $40 billion was necessary to eradicate homelessness and poverty at home. Yet they're cutting pensions and benefits for veterans, Head Start, for college students, for schools, for free lunches, and yet they're paying the bills. How can that be America first? And how can that be not a spit in the face to the people?
Well, it isn't. I mean, that's clearly wrong. But you know what Jack Ma was laying out there is exactly this choice between two systems of governance. Are you going to go with free trade, or are you going to go with investment in your own economy, in your own infrastructure, in your own small, medium-sized businesses, education, healthcare, security, safety, and so on and so forth. So that's not a thing you can do with the flick of a switch, because you're going to have extremely powerful vested interests that are going to try to pull the system to where their privilege originates, which since World War II, since even before World War II, was this system of free trade that says you make money by selling stuff anywhere in the world. And that money, you can invest it anywhere in the world. You don't have to invest at home. You don't have to create jobs at home. You can create jobs in Mexico and in China and in Taiwan and in Africa. Well, if you create capital controls, if you introduce tariffs, you begin to change this. But it's going to take time for people to be able to make those investments, hire people, produce crap, repair the infrastructure, and so on. That's not going to happen in a year's time. Russian transformation from being the last dump in the world in 1999 to today has been going on for 25 years. And I was in Russia in 2006, and it looked like a dump. And then I was in Russia in 2015, and it looked very nice. It looked like any normal Western European place. Today, Russia has eclipsed Western Europe and probably the United States as well. Well, at least in terms of, infrastructure and, cleanliness and safety of the cities, healthcare and, public transport and those kinds of things. It takes a very long time, it doesn't happen overnight. And so a lot of this shit where certain vested interests have control over certain flows of money are going to take a long time to mop them all out. And maybe they won't get mopped out, maybe it's going to be like the Western Roman Empire, where these interests are going to keep a stranglehold over society and keep everybody else hostage to their interest to the bitter end, until the whole system is destroyed completely. I think that it largely depends also on the American people. You simply have to demand those changes. You have to exert pressure. Changes are happening. No political system can resist concerted pressure from their people. This is why they're distracting you with bullshit nonstop. This is why we're living under a hailstorm of psyops. You can't even know what to believe anymore. For that reason, I think it's extremely important to keep in mind the context. You know, what are the two alternatives that we're fighting between? It's two systems of governance. One of them is the imperial one, the one that creates colonies, the one that shifts money between colonies and the financial centers like the City of London and Wall Street. The other one is the other one is using capital to build up the domestic economy. Now, it's very hard for people to imagine this because we have all grown up under this system of free trade for a few generations. It's hard to even imagine what the other, but the other system, it's called Hamiltonian, right? Because it was promulgated by Alexander Hamilton in the beginning of the 19th century. It turned the United States from a patchwork of colonies. Colonies are always backwards dumps. It turned the United States into the global superpower, which is why the British intervened to orchestrate the Civil War, to try to break the Union again into a set of colonies and make them clients of the empire and make them backwards again. The same model was applied in Germany in the second half of the 19th century. Absolutely spectacular results, to the extent that the British had to orchestrate World War II to cut Germany down to size. The same system was applied in China over the last 40 years. So the difference is absolutely spectacular. Look, I'm going to publish something soon on my Substack about this. I'll try to make it. This is really important to know and understand, so that you know what you're fighting for. I'm working now to try to make it digestible because not everybody studied economics, not everybody tolerates the bullshit jargon that's being So I'll try to put this together. I mean, I already have, but it takes a while to put together, and because I want to put it also into a video. But pay attention to this and understand that your destiny is in your hands. No political system can resist the power of the people. I promise you that. History is 100% a testament to this. So if anybody out there thinks that they're helpless and that there's no way to change anything, you're wrong.
Once again, Alex, thank you, man, for your time, man. I really appreciate it, man. We have to play devil's advocate sometimes, and we have to, because I saw someone in the comments say, stop. I'm not going to use the curse word, but it's being, and because I was bringing up certain points. I want to tell that person on this platform that, listen, on this platform, you're allowed to have different views, allowed to speak your mind so long as it's respectful. We don't cater to the Democrats or the Republicans because they're both two sides of the same coin. What we're trying to do is provoke thought so that you can prepare yourself and get as much information as you can so that you can see what's going on and empower yourself to protect you and your family from what's coming down. In closing, Alex, do you have anything to say to the people?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what you just said is very important, and I think it's fair because we really are in a hailstorm of psyops. It's very difficult to know what's true and what's a psyop, what's real and what's fake. And so, we're all doing our best, and even if you have all the information in the world at your fingertips, it's still not obvious how exactly to interpret it. But even if you would disagree with somebody, understand that you're on the same side as them. So cultivate respect for one another as much as possible, because you're going to be wrong today. They're going to be wrong tomorrow. But we're all learning from one another. so this is just a conversation. This is bouncing ideas, learning from each other. And it's like sifting for gold. It's not all gold. Most of it isn't. But the more we do this, the more we refine the truths that we need to light the path forward. So, I unfortunately, like I've seen many friends fall out because they have a disagreement about the vaccines, or they have the disagreements about the Biden administration or the Trump administration. It doesn't matter. What matters is truth, and what matters is that we understand the truth. You can see how panicked they are at the idea that we're starting to work it out. i.e., Larry Ellison buying TikTok because they realized that the horses have bolted from the stable, and now they're trying to reverse it and get them back. So us figuring things out is the biggest empowerment we can give to ourselves. And we're all trying to work it out. That's what we're trying to do. And there's going to be moments when we disagree. It's cool. It all comes full circle. We're refining the truths, and we need to try to stick together as much as possible and not fall out over things that, 2 weeks from now aren't going to matter, right? Trump is at the White House. Mm-hmm. Trump is the instrument of the American people. Whatever Trump thinks, plans, he can't resist the power of the people either. That's, anyway,
Okay. Alex, once again, thank you for joining me, man. You didn't have to, but you did it. You always come through for me when I ask you to. Amen. Be safe and be blessed, and I really appreciate it.
You too, Rashid, and all your viewers and listeners. Rejoice and stick together. I think we're in a good shape. We're on the right track.
All right. Salute to you. Everybody, listen, as I always say, do right by others, not because there's some material gain or some accolade. Do right by others because it's the right, the godly, and the humane thing to do. Because even when no one else is watching you, God Almighty is watching you. As my late mother used to always say, God sits high, but he looks low. Know that I love each and every one of you who loves truth. But know that the love that I have for you will always pale in comparison to the love that God has for you. Until we next speak again, stay strong, stay true. But remember this most of all, to stay righteous. Hey, mama, your baby boy loves you more than life. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Share, like, and subscribe. Peace. We're out of here. Deuces.